like that. Touching the line means there's a court, there's the end line on the court, and then there's the end line on the other end. And when you are running a timed drill, you need to touch, literally your foot or your hand, whatever you choose, needs to touch that line, or it nullifies the line. It nullifies the fact that your group, or you, if you were running individually, it doesn't count. And trust me, I've had my share of teammates and coaches yelling, touch the line, Fran. And I've had my share of yelling that either at my teammates or people that I've coached, because it is significant. And so sometimes people think, touching the line is not that big of a deal. But what you realize when you start to transition from being a decent player to a good player, and then you decide that good is not good enough and you want to be a great player, you realize that the details of touching the line really matter, right? You learn that. You start to embrace touching the line. You start to embrace the discipline that comes with being a champion, or whatever it is you do, business, life, sports. So all week I've been hearing that, because the hill that I'm walking is starting to get tougher, because I'm adding more hills. I'm adding more repetition to it, and it's getting tougher. And so psychologically, I'm like, this little, 3 feet's not going to matter, whatever. And I literally heard, touch the line, Fran. I really I had a little post-traumatic episode, because I went back to being 17 and at the University of Texas and hearing people say, touch the line, Fran. And it hit me. I just started laughing when I got there, and I went all the way to the end of my hill and turned around and did it. But the point is, it's the details that make you successful. It's the details that, whether it's in your relationships or whether it's in business or sports or whatever, those details matter. And when you're not good, or when you are not believing that you're good yet, you don't think those details matter. But then when you're looking for separation of how does my team, whether your team is business or my relationship team or my sports team, how does my team get over the hump from being good to great? You realize that great teams, great individuals, they do those little things. They take care in those details. So touch the line is analogous to doing the details, doing the small things, focusing and specializing in the intangibles, because those are the things that are going to get you to your next level. So I had to share that with you, because some of you right now are thinking that it's the big stuff is the reason that you can't attract a better relationship. You're thinking it's the big stuff, the reason you can't get to the next level in your profession. You're thinking it's the big stuff, the reason you can't get to your next level on your team as an athlete. And it's really about you kind of looking at the intangibles of what is necessary from turning the corner from good to great. And it's always found in the details. And in fact, if you're watching the Last Dance, which is the story of the Chicago Bulls, I think those final seasons, and last week it was Dennis Rodman, right? Dennis Rodman made a living, is one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history. He made a living on the details. Not a great shooter, not trying to be a three-point shooter. He found a detail in the game that nobody else was doing it at the level that he could do it. And he just decided to focus on that. He specialized in rebounding, playing defense, hustling, intangibles, the details. Dennis Rodman became a Hall of Famer based on details, based on touching the line. And people can say what they want to say about the worm, but what they cannot say is that he was not a master at his craft. And that's what I heard when I hear touch the line. And that's what I'm saying to you. Touch the line. In your relationships right now, you're thinking it's the big stuff that you need to be focusing on, and it's probably a little detail where you're not touching the line that's keeping you from having a great relationship. And trust me, the reason people don't do details, the reason people don't touch the line, 2 reasons. They don't think it's important, and number 2, because the details are hard. The details are hard. They're hard in relationships, they're hard in your profession, they're hard off the court, they're hard on the court, they're hard. And that's why not everybody does it. That's why not everybody does the hard stuff, because it's hard. And so whenever you hear people with that cliche that says, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. We hate hearing that, but it's so true. If what great people do as great people, I'm not even talking about accomplishment, but aspiring to be a great person is difficult because of all the crap and all the people out there who are not aspiring to be great people. So it's hard to say, I'm going to be a good person no matter what. No matter what you throw at me, no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to be this is the person I'm going to be based on my faith, based on my standards, based on my morals, based on what I want to leave in the world, what I want to put out into the world. You're not going to make me stoop to your level. That's not always easy. So that's just personal. In relationships, I see a lot of folks, and I actually do a lot of team building with couples, and a lot of people are struggling because you got people fighting to be right. Like I'm like, your team, this spouse, I'm like, okay, you're trying to be right and you're trying to be right. That's why y'all are far apart. Instead of doing the right thing, doing the righteous thing for your relationship, you're both trying to be right. You're not focusing on the details of being kind and loving to your spouse. You're trying to be right. Okay, again, I kind of got off on that because the reality is you're focusing on the big stuff and it's the little stuff that makes you really successful. So touch the line. Touch the line. Start focusing on touching the line. If you think a detail is not important, that's a lie. It is important. If you don't think it's important to, dot your I's, cross your T's, it is important. It's that stuff, because 9 out of 10 people are not doing it. So if you're that one person who's touching the line, you're going to stand out. You're going to attract more of what you want in your life. I always look at what I'm attracting because it tells me kind of where my energy is. It tells me where my vibration is, where my frequency is. And this has been an amazing week. So I'm like, wow, I got a call from a show, one of my favorite shows. I got a big deal, and people are saying this is a time when none of this stuff is happening. You need to align your vibration and your frequency to focus on the details. Touch the line. Look at your relationship. Are you touching the line in your relationship? Look at your business. Are you doing the little things that kind of elevate you to serve your audience a little bit better? Look at your sports as an athlete, as a coach. Are you getting better as a coach? Are you getting better as a CEO? Are you touching the line as an executive, as a leader of your family, of your community, and of your organization or your team? It was a good lesson for me. It was a good lesson for me. I'm doing something right now that's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And all I can think of right now is touching the line. If I'll just touch the line, everything else will fall into place. Have a good weekend, y'all.